Public safety drones are without a doubt incredible tools, but at the end of the day, they're still complex aircraft, and, well, sometimes things go wrong. So, what really happens in those critical moments right after a crash? Let's get into what that protocol actually looks like. So, picture this. You've got this high stakes situation, and boom, the drone goes down. This immediately kicks up a storm of questions, right? Questions about safety, about evidence, and about accountability. We're not just talking about a broken piece of tech, this is a full blown public safety incident. And how you respond? Well, that's everything.
All right, so before we can really dig into the response, we've got to make sure we're all speaking the same language. See, in the world of aviation incidents, certain words mean very specific things, and getting them right is crucial.
First up is a flyaway. And let me tell you, this is pretty much a pilot's worst nightmare. This isn't just a little glitch. We're talking about a total, complete loss of control. The drone has stopped listening. It's basically on its own. Then you have something called CFIT, or Controlled Flight into Terrain. Now, here's the key difference, and it's a big one. The pilot is still flying the drone. The crash happens because of a misjudgment, maybe an error in perception, not because the aircraft went rogue. And that distinction, it's absolutely critical for the investigation that's about to happen.
Okay, so the drone is down. Now what? Well, the clock starts ticking, and I mean immediately. Those first 30 minutes are this incredibly intense, highly organized race to get a handle on the chaos.
And this isn't random. There's a strict timeline to follow. Right away, within the first 5 minutes, the event is officially declared a critical incident. From there, the focus immediately shifts to securing life, then to securing the entire scene, and only then does the methodical work of preserving every single piece of evidence begin.
And I really want to hammer this point home. Let's be crystal clear about this. Before anyone even thinks about the drone or the controller or the flight data, the number one, absolute, non-negotiable priority is human life. Attending to anybody who might be hurt on the ground always, always comes first, period. So once the scene is safe and people are taken care of, a wave of communication starts. A critical incident like this triggers a whole cascade of notifications to different agencies, and they all have a very specific stake in what happened.
Now, this is one of those details that can really trip people up, knowing who to call and, just as important, when. You've got the FAA, and their main focus is regulatory compliance. You've got 10 days to report to them if there's serious injury or property damage over $500. But then there's the NTSB. Their job is to investigate the crash itself, and for major stuff like a flyaway or big-time aircraft damage, you have to notify them immediately. Two different agencies, two very different clocks. Okay, now we get to the part of a modern crash investigation that is just fascinating. The evidence isn't just about twisted metal and broken propellers anymore. There is a ghost in the machine, a digital story just waiting to be told. So first, you've got the physical stuff. The obvious things, right? The aircraft itself, the batteries, the controller, any cameras or sensors it was carrying, and even the pattern of the debris on the ground. Every single piece tells a part of the story of the flight's final violent moments. But then, you've got the digital trail. And honestly, this invisible evidence is often even more revealing. We're talking SD cards, flight logs, stored right there in the controller, and the telemetry data. That's basically the drone's own black box that recorded everything from its GPS path to its battery voltage second by second. So, given how fragile all this evidence is, both the physical pieces and the digital data, the single most important rule on scene is this. It's simple and it's non-negotiable. Don't touch it, don't move it, and definitely don't try to power anything on. Preserving the scene exactly as it was found is everything. And if you need any more proof of just how seriously this is taken, check this out. The protocol literally demands that a drone crash scene be handled with the same rigor, the same meticulous care as an officer-involved shooting investigation. Yeah, that means separating people, controlling who gets in and out, and keeping a perfect, unbroken chain of custody. So with all this data, and all these witness statements and photos collected, how do you turn that mountain of chaotic information into a clear, understandable report? Well, that's where the formal investigation comes in. It follows a very deliberate, methodical path. A dedicated team gets put together. They conduct structured interviews with the pilot, with any observers, any witnesses on the ground. They dive deep into a technical analysis of all that data and review the human factors. And finally, all of that hard work leads to official findings and recommendations. And what you end up with is the final case file. You can think of it as the complete biography of the incident, from start to finish. It's got every single report, every photo, every log file, all the official paperwork from the feds, and the chain of custody for every piece of evidence. It is the definitive record of what happened. So why? Why go through all this trouble? Because this incredibly detailed protocol, it's about so much more than just figuring out what went wrong with one drone on one specific day. At the end of the day, the ultimate goal here is to build and maintain public trust. Having a standardized process like this ensures that every single incident is handled with transparency, that the agency can be held accountable, and that the entire drone program keeps its operational integrity. The investigation itself can lead to all kinds of different findings. I mean, you can see from this sample chart here, sometimes it really is just pure equipment failure. Other times, maybe the pilot deviated from policy, or it could be a mix of a few different things. Sometimes the pilot did everything right, and in a few cases, the exact cause might just stay undetermined. And this is so important. This is not about placing blame. It's about learning. The findings from an investigation lead directly to recommendations that can actually improve pilot training, update the agency's policies, and even help make decisions about what kind of equipment to buy in the future, all with the single goal of preventing the next crash. So this entire process, it creates this really robust system of accountability for the pilot and for the technology. But it does leave us with one final, kind of tricky question to think about. With such a detailed internal process, how is oversight maintained on the investigation itself? In other words, who investigates the investigators?